bill of sale and the contract that I did with the financer. So my question to you is, would I myself have to draw up a contract between me and my all caps name? Is
Mm,
is
not
that essentially what they're saying? Because I did send them the contract of me and the so-called creditor. So
so. What it is they're not honest. To be honest, they're not
yeah.
supposed to be asking you none of that. Why? Because that they're what they're doing. That sounds like an adverse claim. Like they're rebutting your claim, and if they're rebutting your claim, that means that's a lawsuit automatically. Because if someone's rebutting your claim, because you have to remember something, what they're doing as a reporting station, because that's what they do. They file reports. They file things that are that are claims, because what you're filing is a claim, pretty much.
Mhm.
And if you're filing a claim on record for their record to be shown, them saying that they can't do it means that they have to have a rebuttal in affidavit signed by and notarized by an attorney. That's how it goes. But I hear what they're saying, because that's what we've been teaching in this class, is that anytime, you see, and this goes for everybody. I hope everybody pull out their pens, because I come to realize it's not just you, Rome. It's just we sometimes forget what we teach in this class on a regular semester time. This semester we're doing business, but on a regular semester we'd have taught everybody that a security agreement has to be with the estate in order for someone or any entity to lien you. A security agreement is what? It could be a contract of any sort that deals with finances. It could be a mortgage, promise to pay. It could be a bond. All these things that deal with commerce, there's got to be a security agreement. Okay? So the security agreement could be any applications, anything that has to do with you signing on it or having your signature put on it. A security agreement.
Well,
Once a security agreement is there, then they are allowed to put a lien and file the lien because of the security agreement. So to answer your question,
mhm.
when you're putting together a trust, the trust puts a lien on your estate to protect it from any other creditors trying to come at it. And in that lien that the trust does, there's a security agreement between the estate and the trust itself. That's what they're asking you for. They're asking you for the security agreement of the estate and the trust, and who has the secure creditor status. Even though they're not supposed to be asking you for that, they're supposed to take what you have and file it. If they have a rebuttal, then they have to take you to court.
Yeah, because that's what I was thinking. I'm like, if I'm filing a claim, right? I'm literally putting skin in the game.
Uh-huh.
If you're claiming that my claim is no good, then that would mean I'm in the wrong or I'm doing something illegal. You should rebut that and take me to court or something, or the person that I'm filing the claim against should do that. But as it stands right now, I'm really the only one taking a risk. So what do you mean you can't do it?
Well, words is wind, but their actions speak louder. So if one is not is rebutting your claim, you have to get them to put that in words. That's how it goes. So anytime anybody comes to me and goes, "Hey, sir, there's rules and regulations, you know," I said, "Well, there is. Can you kindly go and print it off for me so I can have a read of it, and then I won't violate your rules and regulations no more, because I'm not conscious of what you are doing here. I didn't know there was a law governing here. So please print it out for me." And would you believe that 99% of the time when I ask for that, they can't give it to me? And so because they can't give it to me in the time space that I'm standing there, Well, then it's not law no more. And I tell them that. I said, well, then you can't enforce something that you can't give me into my hand right now so I can learn about it. I can read, I'm very fast at reading. So can you give it to me? I don't care how long it is. Can I have it right now? And they can't give it to me. I said, well, you can't give it to me, then you can't enforce it. Your words is win. That's how it goes. Okay.
Because I went through the state constitution and I don't really see nothing that, because their claim is that it's in the state constitution that they have the right to deny the filing if they don't see any proof of a contract. So I'm like, but I don't see that.
She gave you the number that what's it called, that reference that refers to that section?
Yeah, she did give me the statute number, and when I checked, I couldn't. Maybe I'm overlooking some, but I couldn't see anything that addresses that you have to have a contract to file a UCC 1. So I'm like, what am I missing here?
No, it could be her putting you on a goose chase. They've done that to me before. I remember I talked to an attorney one time, and I guess I was pissing him off. And he goes, well, you can't do this in civil law 2.10 section 11. I was writing it down. He didn't know I was writing it down. And while we're talking, I was looking it up at the same time. And then I made him backtrack to his question, his answer. I said, you said 2.1, you sure? Yeah, that section there. Well, it says right here, and I'm reading it to him verbatim. And he's like, he got quiet because he didn't think I would look it up right away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a pastor preaching to you, but you don't know the Bible, and he can say any verse to you, and you're like, oh, okay, shoot. I didn't really get into the book like that. Okay, pastor. And you kind of like let it go, but don't really go into it and find out if that's what he was referring to. You know?
It's essentially how you say when you nationalize, people will test you.
Ashe.
Okay. So moving forward, should I like do what? The affidavit of truth?
Moving forward. Forward, you should have us do a security agreement with the trust to your estate.
Okay.
Right? Get that notarized or authenticated if you want to go that far, and then send them a copy. You keep the original.
Okay. Security agreement. Any specific verbiage that should be in the security agreement?
It's just mainly these two parties are agreeing to this security agreement. There's got to be one of the parties has got to be leaning the other party. So in a trust, if it was my trust, I would do 150 million. Whatever denomination is in your country. I'd go high to the point that you'd say that's ridiculous, but don't go too high. I remember I said that to somebody, and they showed me one. I almost died, fell off my chair. This guy put quadrillion. I was like, quadrillion dollars, like 40 zeros. I was like, wow, that's amazing. That's crazy. But you don't have to do that, okay?
That man looks like he worked for the IMF. Boy.
Yeah, right. Has his own gold mine somewhere.
All right, then. All right.
Don't go too outrageous.
Okay, gotcha. All right, then. Appreciate your time, Noble Cam. I yield.
Ashe, thank you for your question, Noble. Excellent question. All right. And that goes with everything. Anytime you have a bill or any kind of payment that you have to pay, there's always should be a security agreement. The security agreement would be whatever you sign. Okay. If they can't produce that, then there's no agreement. Then there's no bill. You don't owe them anything, and they have to produce that. All right. With that, if they can't produce it, then there's a affidavits have to be filed. Affidavits have to be sent to you, back and forth. Remember that an affidavit is the law, or I should say, contracts are the law. Make that as a note. Put it on a T-shirt. Contracts is the law. I'll say it one more time. Contracts is the law. Bring any contract into a court forum. They stand as law. The constitutions, treaties, those are all contracts. That's why they stand as law. All right. How many people here? Well, we won't do that yet. Let's go through the questions. Next hand up is Teresa.
Good morning. Grand Rising, everyone. Noble Camera, the question I have is, there was a few weeks back, somebody gave information about how children can learn what we're doing in our class. And I'm looking for that information again, because I didn't get it. I thought I had it. I wrote it down. It didn't work out.
Okay. I'll see if I can find one of the nobles in our noble David. Oh, he's not here yet. As soon as one of our nobles come in, that I know it.
Okay. Thank you. I have one more question. So one of my friends is buying a house. So when she signs to buy the house, that is considered a security agreement?
Yes. Yes.
And everything that is in that has to be carried forward?
Yes. Signed it, and when you signed it, it automatically becomes a lien. That's why they lien. If you were to do a search on that property or on her, you'd see that she has a lien that that bank or whatever entity is doing that contract with her. So yes, that's where the lien comes in. They go together. The lien is not the claim, but
the claim is the lien.
No.
The lien is not the claim.
But the lien is not the claim, but the lien is the claim. They go together.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. The security agreement would be the claim, and there has to be a lien that follows it. This goes with everything you have. Everything. So let's say you owe the lecture bill and all those kind of things. There's supposed to be a lien. Thank you for that. Excellent. Willie, I see your hand up. The floor is yours.
Yes, greetings, Noble Cam, and to everyone. I'm gonna share something with you. Maybe I need to give you all right, let me just read something to you, and I need your advice. How best to steer myself out of this situation. So it says, the letter coming from a lawyer. It says, we are the solicitors for 199 Ontario Inc., which owns and operates Drifters Restaurant located at the address. You may recall that back in 2019 or early 2020, you unlawfully removed a wooden fence that was located on your property and served as a screen enclosure for the garbage bin that my client is required to keep on your property in accordance with a site plan agreement that affects both your property and our client's property. At that time, David Schultz of the planning department for the city of Port Colborne inform you that your actions were in contravention of the site plan agreement and the city compelled you to reconstruct the fence and abide by the terms of the site plan agreement. My client has informed me that notwithstanding this previous warning from the city planning department to comply with the terms of the site plan agreement, you have recently started to park your car in the right of way that my client and its patrons are entitled to use for ingress and egress to 471, whatever the address, right? Please take notice that if you do not immediately cease interfering with my client's right of way over your property, we will bring an application to the court to restrict him from interfering with this right of way, and we will be seeking damages and costs that will be well in excess of $50,000. Then I replied to this by saying, um, asking them to produce an agreement that I had with them, and let me see, I'm trying to find the other letter. No, it says your property is subject to a site plan agreement that was entered into by a predecessor in title. The site plan agreement binds subsequent owners of the property. The city of Port Colborne is not required to enter into a new site plan agreement with the owner of your property every time it is sold. I am well aware that this simple concept was explained to you by David Schultz, as well as your previous lawyer, Clark Peddle. It appears that you don't understand, or perhaps you have a very short memory. I will attempt to explain this concept to you in
That's not,
terms, in term, in terms you may understand. Residential subdivision in towns and cities throughout the province of Ontario are subject to subdivision agreement. These subdivision agreements are entered into by the developer of the subdivision and the municipality, and they are registered against the title to all of the lots within the subdivision. Individual property owners within these subdivisions do not enter into a subdivision agreement with the municipality, and yet they are bound by the terms of the subdivision agreement that the developer entered into as these agreements, just like the site plan agreement on your property buying successors in title, subsequent owners. My client has been put to considerable expense and inconvenience as a result of your unlawful attempt to obstruct the right of way. This is your final warning. If you park in the right way of the of way of ever again in an attempt to interfere with my client's rights, you will suffer the consequences. Talk to me now. Um how do I get myself out of this easement situation?
that's crazy. That sounds like Hulk Hogan wrote this letter.
Eh?
that that sounds like sounds like a wrestler wrote that letter.
Yeah.
They know you have one more chance.
Yeah, on your property.
Like, wow, okay. Has he sent the act that goes with that he's referring to, or the side plan agreement that he's talking about? Because he's saying that inside the agreement, anybody who if they sell that property to anybody in the future, they're automatically under that agreement. Did he give you a reference part to that?
I do have a site plan agreement. I saw it.
Okay. Did it read? You saw it, or did you read it?
Yeah, well, it's basically like what you call it, some graph, and there's a little reading about it. There is indeed an easement,
Yep.
but the problem is, I just figured that this is so unfair to anyone because if two people, the previous, what happened in here is the person who entered into this agreement, they were basically owning both properties, but then they severed it and sold them separately. So I'm saying that if I am going to and then the previous owner too sold that property. So I'm a new buyer. The other person is a new owner of the restaurant. So I thought that we would naturally come to a continued agreement or not. But now what they're trying to say is that it doesn't matter who and when it is a agreement that was established and everybody have to just abide by it. That's exactly what they're saying. And for the life of me, how can that make any sense? But when I do a little research, it's basically protecting somebody's right to use another person's property, and then you're gonna have to get a lawyer, and the lawyer gonna have, or if you're gonna have to go there to them and say, literally beg them to say, can you release me from this obligation? Rather than I am the one, the servant one who said to me, I want to be out of it. No, it's there. It's there. You have to beg them to get out of it, which is to me, how can the hell who could coin such a stupid law?
Well, to be honest, I like the easement thing because you said that the land's under easement, right?
Hmm.
The easement means that it's only there for use to visit and would be the custodians, right? So what's going on here is on this angle, a custodial duty thing that's happening. For you to get out of it, and this may not happen to a lot of Canadians because they don't know nothing about land and how the law of land, how that works. Because you live there, I would nationalize the land itself as a diplomatic part of the diplomatic mission, and claim the land as Aboriginal. Because it's an easement, they don't own the land. Nobody really does. It's there for whoever takes care of it. Like, okay, let me give you an example. I remember one time, I've done this so many times, that we'd go shovel the snow off the walkways, driveways of abandoned houses, abandoned properties, and would send us the city a letter saying, "Hey, we did this job and it cost this much." And sometimes the city would pay us, but some cities that didn't want to pay would give us the deed to that house,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
All of that is because of custodial. And you could do the same thing with abandoned land. Like there's land out there that you're looking at. All you do is go cut the grass and keep maintaining it as a custodian, and keep a schedule fee done and everything. Have them notarized, and you can send that to them, letting you know that you've been taking care of the land. Well, because you're a national yourself, one of the things I suggest you do is you would nationalize that ground, because that contract only is valid because of the easement, and that nobody has made a claim, a full allodial claim to the land that's there. Does that make sense?
Well, I am not sure. The allodial title, I noticed I was inquiring about it, and most real estate agents, it's like you're talking bad word to them. They don't understand the language of a allodial title. So
Mhm.
I really checked them out, and they weren't aware of what that is, and they were supposed to get back to me, and they haven't. So the allodial title, and if you research on the internet, some are saying that it's an old time thing that doesn't work again. It's not legal here in Canada, blah blah blah. So I don't know, but whatever way I was thinking of, if there's a trust way out or a allodial title, I need to get my thing just independent and get out of this easement obligation, because it is very annoying and it's infringing on my right to enjoy my property as I want, and to have somebody have that right to your property and is without paying you while you buy your land, you buy your house, and you're paying your taxes for it, and another person have that right and is even threatening you that if you don't allow them to use it, they're going to sue you for $50,000 and consequences. I mean, oh, come on, the hell,
Yeah, but they have a contract on it.
huh?
And most lawyers are not going to know about a allodial title because they're not trained to understand
Mm-hmm.
and what happened in certain time frames when it came to law. And in order for you to have an allodial title, you have to be Aboriginal or Indigenous.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Right? Because you have to remember, there's people who visit here and want to stay, and not everybody here is Indigenous. So because of your status being Indigenous and them not being Indigenous, they're stateless.
Mm-hmm.
You'd have full right of claim under the allodial title, which they cannot achieve because they can only give out deeds, and deeds are not titles.
Mm-hmm. So you would say, so what I hear you saying, therefore, it's getting an allodial title done, and that would ease get me out of that easement. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's the ace card in all of the deck.
Mm-hmm.
Allodial title would be the ace card.
And it's enforced. Sorry, go ahead.
The king and queen card would be those statues.
So and that is enforceable and recognized in Canada. How do I get that done?
How do you get it done? Prior to 1930s, there was no such thing as a mortgage. Everything was all Aboriginal, all allodial titles. And that's 1930s. That's not even 100 years ago. Not even 100 years ago. There was no such thing as mortgage. And in the Constitution, there's still no such thing as mortgage.
But I don't have a mortgage and I bought my property cash, so I don't have any mortgage on it.
No, what I'm saying is,
Okay.
what my point is that allodial title, that's what it was around.
Okay.
And you said that you mentioned that you were talking to attorneys and they're like, don't know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny that, you went to school and they went to school to be an attorney, but don't history of allodial title.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So I'm just giving you a little background history of what allodial title and where it came.
How could I get this done? How could I get this done?
To nationalize, it's exactly what we're doing in this semester, showing you how to
nationalize.
No, exactly. So the same thing that you did with yourself, you do the same thing with your property. Because when you did it yourself, you did it honestly for your living body and your estate.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see it when I sit down with you on Tuesday.
Oh,
because that's me and you's meeting. So when I sit down with you in your documentation, it's talking about the splitting of yourself. Like how if you got a bill from somewhere, right, and has your name on it in all capital letters,
mm-hmm.
most people will look at that letter and go, "Raw dealer, this letter's for me," and then open it up and it's like, "You owe us $100,000," and so, and then emotionally you take it on, thinking that it's you they're talking to. It's not you they're talking to. It's your estate. So what we've been doing is helping people nationalize and recognize their estate, not recognize the estate when it's dead or when you die. The only time we recognize the estate is when somebody passes in our family, and then it's your duty to take care of it. Like, say the family passes, they go, "Hey, Willie, you were closer to so-and-so. You take care of the estate." And you understand the estate from then, when you're supposed to be doing that and dealing with that while you're alive. And what they've done is they realize that we're not dealing with our estate while we're alive. Every culture else is doing that, except for us, the Black people. Mm-hmm. And because we're not doing that, that's called abandonment in law, commercial law, that you're abandoning your estate. And anything that's abandoned, I don't have to preach to you, Willie. You already know anything abandoned can be taken, right?
So,
So,
oh, sorry.
mhm.
Finish your train of thought. Okay, I was gonna ask you. So, how should I respond to this? Should I respond to this guy because he wrote me? Should I respond, or should I just ignore, or what do I do?
if you don't respond, um, if you don't respond, and it depends on what you respond,
Because it's really a threat. Yeah, it's really a threat. Do I respond to the threat? Because I already responded to the first one. I said, okay, prove to me where I signed an agreement or a contract with the restaurant. Where is it? That's why they wrote me those letter, that second letter about whatever my obligation to honor this agreement.
yeah, but he hasn't sent. Well, he already knows that contract stands as law, and that's why the way he is. He's basically saying, "Don't ask me no questions because what we have here stands as law." So he's expecting you to know that principle of law. You know, you can either rebut it with the Aboriginal way, or you can just say, you know what, I'm gonna apply, keep going with it, because you can't beat that contract. It's already there.
Okay.
Whoever signed on it, and they made it that way. You could bring it to court and argue that, hey, I don't agree to this contract, because a contract can only be valid if you agree to it. It doesn't matter if the other party agreed to it and they sent it on to you. You have to have the right to open up the contract and add or amend things to it. And that should be one thing. So if you're going to reply to them, and you don't want to do the national thing, then reply to them and say, well, in contract law, I have the right. It's one of my rights to open up the contract and amend anything, because in contract law, it takes two parties to agree to it. And I don't agree to it. That's one of your rights. So if you want to go that way, Willie, try that way.
No, I was just thinking that I would be looking to do what you say in terms of nationalizing it. But in the meantime, this letter is outstanding. Do I respond to it or just ignore it until I nationalize it? That's what I was.
How long ago did you get the letter? Because if it's been more
about this week,
All right, you want to look to send them like a notice in the meantime, saying that you will send a rebuttal in time, because you're not ready, right? Because you got to give them some kind of correspondence before the 14 days is up, right? Because remember, in part of the letter that you read, they were talking about bringing a lawsuit, an application to the court, right? So you don't want that to start happening until we can solve it outside of the court first. That's the greatest thing that a judge loves to see, that we can at least try to solve it in some type of form outside of court before it actually goes to court. All right, so try that.
So I would do it in a not email, but like a true registered letter, something like that.
Yeah, it'd be a notice though. It'd be a notice. Notice letting them know that you're willing to defend it, and you could put in what we're talking about.
Okay.
Right. When you send that notice, about a week later, you should have that full document ready on what you want to talk about when it comes to that land and how you want to go about the contract. Open up the contract. I have the right to open up a contract. Look up contract law. And use references from the contract law maxims. That's one thing, people, is when you get into situations, look up the maxims that govern that type of law. And you'll see your rights that are there, already established.
Okay.
When they talk about stuff that is ancient, don't let them fool you, because we're not in future times. Our civilization and man and women on this planet has not evolved in 150 years. So you're still in ancient times. It's not modern times, no such thing.
I'm just gonna, as you say that, I'm just typing an email to say to him I will be responding to you shortly. That's good enough.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you very much, sir. You've been tremendous help. I yield.
Very well. I'll send you my bill later. Let's play around. All right. Thank you for that, Willie. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Paula, I see your hand up.
Grand Risings, Cameron, Noble Cameron, and to all. Right, concerning what you was talking about, signing contracts. Now, as you know, that they're getting energy companies, broadband companies, what they do now, instead of how you used to sign contracts in the road or on the street or some, when they had those hubs and used to sign to take out the energy or broadband. Now it's all done online. When they phone you and you do it. So because you're not literally signing on a piece of paper, but you've agreed.
I'm not rebutting it. That's right. That's right.
So, how does that one work out? Because at the moment with my broadband, I've said to them, I don't want them in my bank account. So what I do, I pay £1.75 extra to have the bill sent to me to, so it's sent by post to me so I can go and pay it. Mm-hmm. But the energy company is a hard one because they won't have it. They're saying, obviously, you need your email and they can't send, because I've asked them and they can't send it, it's got to be direct debit and that, because I'm trying to get everything back into the natural form, if you get what I mean. No internet.
Right. And you sent them a letter saying to contact me through this way and only this way. And they're telling you we only could do things through our email and things of that sort.
Because finally, what I want to do is somehow, finally I want to go the side where you start, use it where I can finally not pay the bill, if you get what I mean. When I nationalize, when I go through the nationalized process, and so I've got to have my tool, if you get what I mean.
I hear you.
Because once everything, you know what I mean? Everything is online and they want you to do everything online. So it's a case of, trying to get everything, as you said. Because I remember one time you was talking about when, they send it's in letter form to you and you keep the envelope because of the postmark and something like that.
Right. Then they're supposed to send it to you registered mail. Any type of debt that they said they want to discuss with you on, it has to be sent through registered mail.
Yeah.
And over the years, they've been doing that by putting in the email thing and saying that no, email is another form of contact when it has nothing to do with the commercial dealings of commerce, right? It's new. So so that's what I was saying. Yeah, you're right. So that's what I'm thinking here. While you're talking, I'm thinking to myself, what can you do? Because you said already to contact me in this fashion. And they're not doing that. They said that they responded to you with a negative, saying, no, we're going to continue giving you emails. Right?
Exactly. Because with Virgin Broadband, I've managed to, stop them having a direct debit out my account and got them now to send me the bill by post.
Exactly. So, and that's how it's supposed to go. That's how it's supposed to go. And when you have to remember in the future, when you do it in the future, right, to other companies or any other contracts that are out there, make sure you put a schedule fee in there. When I say schedule fee, put a price into it. When you're dealing with and this goes for everybody. When you're dealing with commercial dealings all the time, always put a dime in,
A dime.
not just 10 cents, but I'm talking like something that
Oh, I get what you mean. Yes.
they,
Okay.
right? Because
Okay.
they're doing it back to you and you're not realizing, you know? And it also puts a little their hair on their back to stand up. Just like how when it happens to you, you know,
Yeah.
like sends you a letter and says, "Oh, ma'am, you have to pay 60 pounds, 100 pounds." And you're like, what? The hairs on your arm start standing up. Like, huh? What? For what? You know,
Right. So,
same thing
okay.
back.
So
Okay.
with the energy company.
Mhm.
So yes.
Say it back to them, but this time say, "Listen, you have such and such a time to respond, or you have to pay this amount of money."
Okay.
If any email come to me and it comes to me, I'm gonna use it as evidence that I said this. They can't. You have to remember, they're a corporation. They're not people.
You're correct there. Yes, correct. Yes, because I have kind of with certain other companies kind of tried to challenge them on certain other issues with the other companies, but at the moment I'm just having a problem with my son because there's one what he's doing, and I'm telling him what they're doing to you is wrong, and I wanted to pay off the bill for him, and they said, well, they want your mother's bank. Can we have your mother's bank account? And I said no, because if I give them my bank account details, what I've got in there, then they'll put up the price to pay off to end your contract with them.
Well, see, right? So
So
they're always trying to hit your wallet. So you go after them.
Well, I'm trying. I want to go after them, but it's trying to get him because he's the one with the debt, and the debt has been sold twice. So I'm trying to help him, but oh gosh, these young people, it's trying to, get them to understand what's going on, and as our parents said, you can bring the horse to the water. If the horse won't drink, then you can't. You can't do anything else but leave the horse. With myself, it's the energy company, so I'll do that then. I'll give that a try, as you said.
I want everybody to look up the statutes and codes and ordinances of a third-party collector.
Third-party
collector, yes. I remember one time the third-party collector was contacting me, and I sent them a thank you postcard. Thank you postcard. I had Snoopy on the front, and Snoopy was sitting on that house, and out of his mouth it said thank you, and on the back of it I wrote to them, "Thank you for accepting the debt from so and so. Have a great year."
Okay.
They called me.
Third party.
Why did you send that? I said, well, because you guys bought the contract, right? Yeah. From so and so. Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for buying the contract, because now I don't owe you anything, because you're not in contract with me. Me and you don't have no contract because you're a third party.
Exactly. That's how I see it. But I don't know how they're working their magic over him, because I don't know.
What they're doing is a third party can only bring an affidavit from somebody who works there.
Yes.
And think that works. And 90%, I get 90%, it does work, because people don't know how contract law works. And that's why. So when they do that, automatically the contract that you have with the initial company is over and settled. That's the principle of contracts.
Okay.
If me and you have a contract, right?
Yes.
I am electric so and so,
Mhm.
and you owe me something, and I contact you. You didn't get it to me, right? I have the right to sell the contract and sell it to whoever for whatever price, 10% off or whatever. Most likely they're going to buy it. Someone's going to buy it because debt is the currency on this planet.
Yes, that's what. Yes, this is it.
Someone's going to buy it. And
Yeah.
that someone who buys it is the collector now. And the collector who buys it settled the debt. Settled me and your debt between the contracts between me and you. Okay.
So when you say settle the debt, that
Yep.
means so the consolidation of all the debts. Say,
Yeah.
for instance, you owe people money and they've consolidated all those debts, and you have to pay this company so they can pay each debtor, and then they sell it. But then they want more money from you to pay off these debts. What I'm trying to show my son, I can't see how they've still got the right to want to put up the debt as well, more money, what you have to pay, because it's a second part. Well, now it's a third party, I've heard now, but as you said, you have not got the contract with that third party because your contract started with the first party.
Yes, and in contract law, if there's only one or two participants or parties, they all have to sign and all have to be there all at the same day of the signing.
Ah, I see what's gone wrong. It's all been done by email.
Yeah.
Now I know. That's where it's gone wrong. It's all been done by email.
Emails and fake
yes.
guys, people who just worked there today and was not at the initial deal sitting at the table with all three of us.
Yeah, that's where it's gone wrong. I can see now. I can see clearly. Yep.
All right.
Yeah. I can see clearly. Thank you. I can see it now. It's open to me now. Clearly. Okay. Thank you, Cameron. Thank you, Noble Cameron. Thank you very much. Bless.
You're very welcome, matriarch. Everybody study contract law and the maxims in contract law. You'll totally see it just like our matriarch, crystal clear on what they're doing. They can't do that. It's against the law if they're talking law. So let's go with law. All right? Stay in honor. Karina, I see your hand up. The floor is yours.
Greetings, everyone. For the first time, I was late for class today. I couldn't get into the program at all. It took me 24 minutes.
Wow.
And as soon as I came on, I heard you speak about the claim is...
Claim is not the lien, but the lien is the claim.
Yes. Could you explain that? Because I just missed it. Just as I was coming in, you were just finishing it off. Could you just go over that briefly for me, please?
Anytime you finance anything, right, you're signing a contract. And because you're the one signing the contract, that would be called in law a security agreement.
Mm-hmm. Because
there's a security agreement involved, that gives that company a right to put a lien against your estate. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So anytime any entity says you owe them anything, you have to do what is called a lien search on the estate to see if they filed a lien and if they have a contract, which is the security agreement. And I was just going over what types of different security agreements that you may encounter, like an application for one. When you apply for something, those could be that can be a security agreement.
Okay.
A closing of a house, when you're closing the deal and you're doing all the signings and closing the deal, those are all the security agreements. Okay.
Right.
and the application even before it,
Yeah.
when you apply, those can all stand as security agreements. And this is why if you were dealing with a bank and you did all those signings, you'd see that the banks would put a lien against your estate or that property because they do have a security agreement.
Right.
Right?
So how do you find these security agreements? Do you find them at the land registry or do you find it within the county or the province?
Say it one more time.
Do you find it in the county courts? Where would you find it? Where would you search?
For the security agreement for the lien?
Yeah, any of those.
You would look up the lien on in wherever domicile you live, whatever part of the world you live. I believe sound like you're from the UK. I don't want to spec. Look up around in your county or district. Do a lien search. A lien search.
Right. Okay.
You could do a land search and those kind of things. And you might be able to see it also in there too, depending on how your the jurisdiction that you live in, how they do things. But look up lien searches online for your county or where you live and go through it, pay the fee. I think most of them will charge a fee, a small fee. It's not a big fee at all. It's mostly because you're paying for the transcripts because they should be mailing it to you or emailing it to you in some form or having you be able to print it right away, depending on how the website's set up.
Okay. All right, I brought that down. Okay, I've enjoyed all the questions so far. I've learned a lot being on the class. It's like I want to, throw the computer out the window. I nearly did a couple of times, but I persevered and I got through. So, I appreciate all the knowledge that you bring to the forum, and so I yield.
Very, very welcome, Matriarch. Excellent, excellent. Thank you for bringing that question. All right, Cammie, I see the floor. I see your hand up. The floor is yours. Cammie L.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Noble.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say great gratitude for all the information that you provided to us. And actually just wanted to bring something to the forefront in regards to, for instance, Walmart. In where we domicile in Toronto, Walmart seems to be an issue when it comes to tax exemption. And like I had an experience this week with them where, yes, they're only taking one tax off of our purchases. And so I confronted the supervisor or manager of the store, and she was quite nice. And she was explaining that basically corporate and the government has made some sort of deal that they will only recognize, even though I was trying to explain, because I remember you had mentioned to explain to them about being a diplomat. But she was like, corporate had only made a contract with the government, and they were only to allow the native Indians, so-called native Indians of this particular region to have that, the taxes exempt completely or something like that. So she was advising that we need to address corporate because corporate is where the issue is. So I was wondering what your take is on that and if the Moors are doing anything to possibly rebut these guys and like kind of get them out of our way, because essentially they're trying to block us from having that exemption completely.
Exactly. I didn't get no memo on them changing that, saying that they won't accept diplomatic status. That's absolutely crazy right now, because that's a violation of international law, period.
Exactly.
right? So what
Yeah.
we have is we started sending out notices, and certain companies want us to set up accounts. We already sent them some companies the global affairs and what CRA says, not what the company says, because the company has no jurisdiction to say anything but follow the constitutions and statutes and acts that are in Canada. They're registered to Canada. Are they not? Yes, they are. Of course they are, right?
Yeah.
So there's no new memo. Hold on a second, I can hear somebody's background. There's no new memo on one having the right to make those kind of decisions in law without an attorney backing that up. So we've been sending them what's it called? Declarations dealing with diplomatic missions and our consulate that's here in Ontario. Also, one of the classes, I think it was a couple weekends ago, I was showing this. I'm gonna turn your attention to your screens, because this is how I know that it hasn't changed, because they update their systems all the time. And what you're saying today is it sounds crazy, and I know you heard it from them. So what they've done on an update is that some of the companies out there will do they may not have this particular button in their registry. It's a diplomatic status button, and they have to press it anytime any diplomat comes inside their building. It doesn't matter what nationality. It could be Chinese nationals. Those are diplomats too. It could be Ukraine nationals. Those are diplomats too. It could be Italian nationals. Those also are diplomats too. Anywhere that has an embassy. Think about this. Any country that has an embassy has its diplomatic missions there. Automatically. So these laws have to keep going because of the world. It's not because of Moors. Yes, we invented it, but it's international law. And what that lady's telling you is that they've changed international law. They kind of did, but not really. What they did was this. Some companies, and we've done our research, some of the companies here in Canada, and this may apply really around across the whole board, US, Britain, islands, is that at the diplomatic missions, some of the companies you have to actually set up an account with. For an example, Staples in Ontario, we had to actually open up an account with them.
Yeah.
And set it up and everything. They work that way. At Red Lobster, whoever the floor manager is, he has to go into the cash register, take out the taxes for what you for your bill, and put the taxes on the table, and you pay the difference. Okay. Other companies that don't have the button, they say that the button's on the right-hand side of the register, but if they can't find it, then you have to take the receipt from them and do what you're looking at on the screen right now, the rebate, and file that rebate, and then they'll give you back.
File the rebate? Where do you?
This is the rebate and the application for it.
Okay, on CRA website?
Mm-hmm. This is CRA's website.
Okay. Oh.
So there's a couple ways to do it. Canadian Tire, they'll have you fill out a form in Canadian Tire, and then they'll run it through the cash register right in front of you.
Mm.
So you gotta be patient about how they're doing, because many companies do it differently. And I've over the years have discovered that a lot. Because I do live here too. So I do do a lot of things myself.
When I go to Giant Tiger, they have the button and they press it and all is well. They clear this off instantly. No issues.
See? Right?
Yeah.
It's no time, no arguments. Show your ID, bang, boom, boom, baf, boom. Put those people on my list.
But Walmart is the only one that I've experienced that is like trying to block us, and they're saying it's corporate's fault, and along with the gas stations, of course.
It's not that. It's because the gas stations and the Walmarts all are franchised. It's not the owner. They're franchised and they're bought by people of families that own them.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So when they're telling you, oh, you got to talk to management, it's because you're going to be talking to some ignoramus who doesn't know law, but does own the franchise to that section.
Mm-hmm. True. But they generally say it's corporate at the gas stations as well.
Well, on this website of Canada Revenue, if you go through it, when it comes to talking about diplomatic missions, it says that we're exempted for gas, the taxes, taxes on gas, taxes on liquor, and it lists them. I should actually show it to you. Let me see if I can find it again. Right? When you go through this, it even tells you when to file it and everything.
So are you saying for the gas, for instance, we are able to go on the CRA website and do the rebate?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, okay, that's what it is. Okay.
There's even numbers you can call them to ask them about it.
Okay.
Here to Quebec.
Okay. Thank you for that. I didn't know that.
Empress, Matrock, can you, when you get a chance, download the Privileges and Immunities Act for diplomats?
Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you very much. I yield. Thank you.
You're welcome. That goes for everybody. This is not just for Canada. This is international. You have to always be thinking international when it comes to your nationality. Stop thinking local, international. Everything that you do as a national falls 100% under international law. Okay? Put that as a footnote for yourselves. Thank you, Matrock, for those questions. I figured we'd do something like this today to clear, because I know that we were talking about diplomatic missions and diplomatic members for about a couple of weeks now, and how to move around. All right. I just wanted to make sure that we had some questions so we can make it crystal clear. And today has been really, really excellent on that. All right. So keep in mind, everybody, and this goes for everywhere, that try out, exercise yourself, demonstrate, and see what they, what's their process. You're international. You are walking foreign land. All right. Let's see if I can get just give me a moment. Can you look up and get the taxes that show you about the exemption on the gas and different things that they list. All right, we'll keep going. We'll keep going with the questions. YV, I see your hand up. The floor is yours.
Greetings, everyone. Grand Rising.
Rising.
I just I put the question in the chat. This isn't the one I wanted to speak about, but I put the question in the chat about the dime, because you mentioned a dime. Something about, and then Brother David P replied, the dime means that you can send them a fee schedule with notice. So if somebody has put, if I send somebody a little deal notice, if I send somebody a payment, and if they don't accept it, then I can send them a dime or a fee schedule to say that, you know, the fact that they haven't accepted it, then I can request that they're kind of out of honor for delaying the process of accepting the payment. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. You gave them a negotiable instrument?
Yeah.
Yes, you can. And there should be a lien on that negotiable instrument, just to remind you. And that's why, because of the lien that's on it already. Anytime go ahead.
Is the negotiable instrument inherently got a lien, or is that a separate document?
It's got every negotiable instrument that you send back you have to lien it. You have to lien it.
Okay, so that's a separate document. So you send them a bill. So you send them the negotiable instrument, and then there's a separate document which might be the lien.
Yes.
What would the title of that lien document be?
It'd be a filing of the lien itself, and it would say lien. It'd be under the Uniform Commercial Code of the UCCs on liens. So look up the Uniform Commercial Codes.
Yeah.
On liens and get that code and refer to that code when you're writing a notice to any corporation about the lien.
If the contract was signed in, you know, by both parties and they're paid with a negotiable instrument, and if they're not accepting that particular negotiable instrument, I mean, I don't think I put a lien in actually when I sent the negotiable instrument. I didn't send them a separate document.
It's got to be valued. It's got to have value. Yeah. So when you're doing that, you're creating value to that document, to that negotiable instrument.
Could you remind me what the different negotiable instruments are, or at least some of them?
Say again?
Could you remind me what some of the negotiable instruments are?
Remind you of the list of negotiable instruments?
Yeah, just to remind me what some of them are, because I know you did say at one point, I guess I could just look them up online, but because I'm talking to you now, it might be useful just if you can remember any of them, or somebody else put them in the chat. That might be helpful.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be helpful. Okay, so just to finish off, so basically, I had used a negotiable instrument, which I thought was a negotiable instrument to settle a debt, to settle a bill, but they're not accepting that. They're sending me back notices saying that that's not accepted. And maybe I should have added on as you're saying, a lien should have gone with that negotiable instrument to make sure that it was just treated as something that is of got some kind of gravitas.
Did your negotiable instrument follow the UCC, the Uniform Commercial Codes, on how a negotiable instrument should be constructed?
Well, it was something. It wasn't something that I created myself.
Okay.
It was something that was provided by the organisation called an organisation which provided economic relief vouchers. So,
like something like We're a Banker or something like that.
There was quite a lot of information on there. It might have had woven within it some kind of lien. I don't recall it did, but there was a lot. I'll read over it, give that my homework.
Yeah, look at it again and see if there's any UCCs, any Uniform Commercial Codes that are on it, and things of that nature. And look into the Uniform Commercial Codes and see if it follows all of the qualifications for it to be a negotiable instrument.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Fair enough. I know when this was discussed briefly with another group, some people said they'd had some success with it. Some said everything was still on hold. So there's been a kind of a mixed reception. So I'm just
In the codes, in the UCCs, it and also in the Financial Administration Act. Look in the Financial Administration Act in where you're from, and look up how to look up discharge of negotiable instruments, or the language discharge inside of the Financial Administration Act, and you'll see the section about discharge and what procedures go with discharging a debt. What procedures go with it? Even if you're 100% and you did everything to the letter inside of the act, right? And they didn't, you'll know what the rebuttal should be. And you'll see that most companies won't do the rebuttal, which makes them criminal automatically, because they're not following the law. It's there, right there. You didn't write the law, and neither did I. I'm only giving you references to where it is and how it's written, who wrote it. And it's there saying that in the process, and this goes with all bills and affidavits, that in a process of discharging a debt, okay, when you send a negotiable instrument and you follow all of the UCC laws on constructing it and how to put it together, and you send it to them, and they're doing what she's saying that they're doing to her, they're supposed to respond with this and only this. They're supposed to respond with a affidavit of dishonor stating that the note that you sent to them, the negotiable instrument that you sent to them, is being dishonored because it doesn't follow the Uniform Commercial Codes. And it's got to be signed and notarized. Did everybody get that? It's got to be signed and notarized, stating that it does not follow the procedures of the Uniform Commercial Codes on constructing a negotiable instrument. If that does not come into your registered mail, then they're doing fraud, and you have the right to use that information against them and beat them where they need to get beaten.
Interesting. It's all a bit asking a question and getting an answer that is not the answer you asked. It's all a bit like that at the moment.
That's right.
Say something and then they're like they haven't heard me. They're saying something else. They're not answering straight. You know, did you do this? Has this been done? And then
Right.
they answer something slightly different. So it just feels a bit, and I feel like I'm in limbo. And somebody else said you need to be confident and believe in the system. And
it's not about the belief in a system. It's the belief of criminal movement. It's just like if you're watching a tennis game, right? And you see them foul or do something that's not part of the rules of tennis, you're going to say something, hey, that's not the rules of tennis. When most people are doing the discharging of a debt and they are following the rules of the UCC, they're going to realize that a lot of companies, some companies are not following it. And that's against the law. This is the whole reason why I've said to you, all of you, you have to change your mindset. And what you want you to change it to is you need to change it to the very fact that the only reason, one of the only reasons why the world is the way it is because corporations took over the world. Corporations took over the world and started violating treaties and constitutions on a global scale. Some companies still is doing good and still will honor you and follow all of the guidelines and acts and codes. Even the stuff that they created, they're violating. Even the stuff that they created, they're violating. And there's a lot of times you got to remind them, hey, in this part right here that you're part of, it says that you're violating it. So remind them, okay? Because you didn't create or write any of the laws or acts, codes, or ordinances. use some of their acts, codes, and ordinances against them because they're the ones who are violating it, not you.
Okay. Thank you very much. I yield.
Excellent, excellent. I found this, and this is probably for, oh, this is for British Columbia. Actually, you know what? I won't do that. It's for another jurisdiction. Yeah, that's for another jurisdiction. All right, we'll continue. David P., I see your hand up. The floor is yours. Go ahead, David P., the floor is yours. Might be having a little technical difficulties.
Mattia, come do something for me.
You already have unmute yourself.
Kind of cracky when you open it.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. Look on my food out the fridge.
All right, I guess we'll come back. We'll come back to you later.
Yeah. Yeah, and put it in the microwave. Eat about about 3 minutes or so. Eat 2 first.
You're in control of unmuting and muting yourself.
You can't take out that part. Take out that part because it's our cover.
Yeah.
Hello, you can hear me?
2 minutes.
Yeah, there you go.
Just having some problems with the sound. I think the comment. I just want to make, well, I guess 2 comments. It was I guess a way to approach, like what you were talking about a little while ago with how you were approaching larger companies as it related to getting the exemptions in terms of the tax exemptions and so on. I think, well, at least there's my looking at it from a business perspective and so on. You kind of got to treat yourself less like an individual and more as a business. So you could kind of look at it, or even go as far as to set up your own company, even if it's just a small thing that will probably be responsible for paying for discharging your debts, and have that company
there, right?
Set up the account at the different organizations. So if you're buying at Walmart, or you're buying at Best Buy, or you're buying at Costco, or wherever it happens to be, then you would negotiate with them and get the exemptions for the company under from as a diplomat, so to speak, right? So that they would know deal with the company, because companies, even outside of being like diplomats and so on, companies always get better deals than individuals. The consumer, the consumer is the low man on the totem pole. Everything falls on him. The company gets better rates. So even if you weren't nationalized and so on, you would find that if you had a company, even if it was a registered name or so on, LLC or whatever it is in your jurisdiction, you would be able to write off certain taxes against your company and so on. So you could buy something from something and then write that off, depending on how it was used to do your business for tax reasons and so on. You would have to, obviously verify what is different in your jurisdiction, but usually that's how you look at it. So just like how you will go to lunch at say Red Lobster, you could say that was a business meeting. It might have been a business meeting between you and your spouse, but you and your spouse are running the company. So y'all had a business meeting at Red Lobster. So basically a business lunch can be written off for taxes, right? Against your taxes, right? Outside of the nationality aspect. So if you're looking at it from that perspective, then you would set up a business account with the person, or which would basically be a credit account. And then from there, most businesses give you a lot of leeway. Like, for example, with a lot of business accounts, you have sometimes 30 or even 60 days to pay debt, right? So in other words, you have a company code to the vendor, it becomes what is called an AR account. And they will give you terms like 30 days or whatever it is. So you can go buy as much lunch as you want for the I don't know, for the month, and then settle the debt at the end of the month. You can't do that as a consumer. As a regular person, you're treated as a cash customer. And a cash customer is the most unreliable, high risk person from the perspective of the vendor. So you got to kind of think of it from their perspective. You want to do it that way so that you approach them from a business perspective, right? Even if you set up a small business just to do, I don't know, the business of paying my debts, I suppose, you know, find out how your laws and your jurisdiction, how that described and so on, and what kind of business is that, how do you correctly structure that, and set that up. And then that business will be responsible for paying your debts.
That's right.
You know, right? You just do it that way. Just like when you go to the gas station, rather than go there as a cash customer, like pay there, you will go to the gas station manager and say, look, my business does such and such and such. We buy on average, I don't know, $400 or $500 worth in fuel every month or so. We want to set up an account with you, and then you then apply the exemption through the company to the account, so that when every time you go to so what you do then is, then if you do it with only that particular gas station, then you only go to that particular gas station, so that when you get there, you show them that you have an account there, and they deduct it from your amount and stuff like that. You don't have to wait in line or anything like that. Or you can go as far as, if you have enough space at your location, or you can go to, like, if you found like warehouse space, you can get a tank built or something like that, and make a deal with the petroleum company, and then they would deliver their tankers to your location, and then you will have your own private gas station, right? But because you're buying in bulk, right, you get even heavier discounts, and then you still get your exemptions on top of that, right? But like I say, it's a different perspective. You got to stop thinking like the low man on the totem pole. You got to think that you're the CEO. CEOs don't have time to go and haggle about gas. You know, the company has an account at the gas station. Oh, I'm from company A, right? And they debit that directly out of there, and so on. And if there's a exemption associated with that account, they debit only that amount, right? So your straw man is a business. Your straw man is your estate. And if you understand what I think people should stop calling it a straw man. Straw man implies that it is a person, and therefore, is an individual. Call it your estate. Your estate is a business. And if you call it your estate, then you will have the right perspective. So you say, it just so happens that your estate has the same name as you. But if you look at it from the perspective of business, then you're approaching it that way. Or you could call it, I don't know, find out how to do if you look in like Weiss's concise trustee handbook, it tells you how to set up a trust. Call the trust the Joe Blow Estate Trust, and then let that do business for you. And from that perspective, companies respect other companies, right? And your estate is a company, is a corporation, and they respect other corporations. So then you do it that way. from that perspective, right? Right. What he said is Weiss Concise Trustee Handbook, 2008. It should be in the National Library Telegram group, as well as the Noble Drew Ali Archive document archive as well. I can't remember where it is. You just have to look for it. But if you approach it from that perspective, then a lot of the issues that different nobles are having, like for example, when you travel, you're traveling under the business. You're not traveling as an individual, right? The business is sending you overseas to do something. You're not traveling as a separate individual, you know, right? And when you look at it from that perspective, like when I worked at a company that sold computers and so on, when they sent me on a course, the company made all of the transactions, and the company got better deals because the company had an account at the travel agency as the so-called employee. All they had to do was show up with a letter that indicated that these are the things that I need, right? And the travel company basically provided all of that information and stuff like that because they're doing it from the perspective from the company, corporation to corporation perspective. It's a different way of thinking. It takes time, but it's a different way of thinking. I would suggest you read a real simple book. What's it by Robert Kiyosaki, Cash Flow Quadrant, right? Which will give you a breakdown between the mentality of the employee, the self-employed person, the business owner, and the investor. And they're different mentalities. Most of the nobles that I've encountered in here are all approaching this from the perspective of an employee. You want to approach all of this from the perspective of a business owner, which is a completely different perspective. Completely, which is why people get run over all the time. Because consumer, who are you? Consumer in the body, the consumer is to be unfair and stuff like that from their perspective. So you have to you're playing by their rules, but you're playing their rules in your game because it's your house. And when you apply it from that perspective, then you get the deals, right? You have to do that. Stop thinking that you're an individual. Even if you're an individual and you have one company, when I go to clients and they ask me, I need to query this bill. Even though I'm the accountant and the bookkeeper, I say, well, I just work for this company. I'll have to ask the accountant. Well, I mean, they're talking to the accountant already, but it doesn't matter. They don't need to know that and stuff like that. I send all my bills from the company. The invoices come from the company. The company is only me, but they don't know that. They don't need to know that, and so on. When they write the checks out, your checks are written to the company. They're not written to me. I control the company. But like I said, it's a different perspective, and it takes time to elevate yourself, dispel all of those spells and disbeliefs and misbeliefs and delusions and illusions and stuff like that to get to a point where you realize, oh shit, pardon my French, so to speak. This is how it works. This is how you get away with things. Not get away, but that's how the rich operate. Own nothing, control everything. Like for example, my cell phone has I have the cell phone, I bought the cell phone, and I have a cell phone number, but the company pays my cell phone bill, right? Because I am doing service, I am lending the company my services. So what really should be happening is that at the end of the day, when I get a bill, I should write the company an invoice so the company can pay me back for the use of my phone to do its business, even though I own the company. We're two separate entities, right? But like I say, it's a difference in perspective and so on. Once you start to operate that way, you'll find that a lot of the issues that you have about approaching certain things will go away, right? Because you're coming to them as a bigger entity, a lot bigger than you are. And so on. It would probably simplify a lot of things from that perspective. And that's one. And then the last one was in some jurisdictions, liens are known as charging orders. So YVV, it is not fraud to put all your bills through your business, because your business, your company is paying your bills so that you can work for it, right? So if you're doing internet, if you're using your internet for argument's sake to do company business, you're not using it for your own personal concern. You're doing it to basically advance the objectives and mission of the company. So therefore, since the company is, so in other words, you're acting as a subcontractor for the business by providing it with an internet connection. Shouldn't the business pay for it? Right? When you look at it from that perspective, the business then pays your bill, your internet bill, for you, because you are using your internet to do company business. Else you wouldn't be using it. You might have been happy with a 5 meg connection, but the company says, hey, look, I need you to have at least a 40 or 50 meg connection in order to do business for me. So you upgrade your thing, having a higher bill, right? That's how they get away with that. When you drive your car and you're doing company business, whatever that business, if you're in the business of sales of something, when you drive around your car and stuff like that, when you correct your receipts at the gas station, you then take it to the company and say, hey, look, it's your company. You write your own checks, and whoever writes the checks for you, right? The only reason I drove this extra 400 miles to this month was to do company business. So you need to reimburse me for the money that I paid at the gas station, whether that was accepted or not. And the company needs to pay you back, right? That's why rich people, they don't own anything. The company owns the car, and in most cases, it doesn't own the car. It leases the car. And what you will find in a lot of lease agreements will be like, you can lease a car for like 3 years, and then the company that leases you the car will take the car back and give you a new car, right? You can't do that as an individual. You gotta pay a debt fee, whatever. But like I said, different companies get different privileges and advantages. And when you realize what companies get as advantages, everybody be down at their company house or wherever you are. I want a company now.
Yeah.
They'd be like, where all these people come from?
Why you think they have their names are the names of their family names is the company name?
Yes.
Right? Like Ferrari or Puma, Kay Spade, Michael Kors. Those are actually their names, and they know how to capitalize on it. And that's what business is. And exactly what you said, I let you go because I hope people are taking down notes, because you hit it right on the head. Right on the head. I remember I did it some time ago, and I got gas cards for everybody. Like, I did it with Esso and opened up a company and got a I said, I have these much fleets of cars, because I was thinking about our nationals and how many cars that people own that has nationalized in Canada, in Ontario, and I was like, okay, let me see. We have that much. So I gave them the numbers of how many people there was, and they go, okay. And they started giving me some good packages, David. May I tell you, some good package. And I said, okay, all right, I'll take that one. And he said, okay. And we signed it up, did it up, and they sent me the gas cards. And that year, I was just handing out pure gas cards.
but that's what they do. You get better deals.
Yeah.
Right? It's like the difference between having a postpaid phone and a prepaid phone. Right? Yep. You get better deals. I have a client, for example, he negotiated a rate with his cell phone company to provide phones for everybody in his company. Mm-hmm. And they actually created a custom contract for him. which is not available to anybody. You will not find that contract. So when you tell people what he pays for his cell phone bills,
Yeah.
nobody, they can't just go in there. They'll have to negotiate that. But he showed them basically, I spend this money on him. I want this. I got 6 people, blah blah blah, and all that, and I need this amount of minutes and stuff like that. And they created a custom contract at a particular rate with a particular data rate that is higher than anybody else.
Yep, that's how you're supposed to do it. You're supposed to be thinking as a business.
As a business.
All of my cars, all under my business, not under my name or anything that has attached to me physically, but my business. Okay, and when police punch the name up, punch up my plates, it's business, right? I remember a 2 weeks ago, I had to go to deal with something on the highway. One of our nationals got pulled over on the highway, and the national on the highway told the officer, the policy enforcer, that I was coming, and he told him that my lawyer is coming. So your lawyer is coming. Yeah, my lawyer, he's a consulate. He's telling them about my details. And as soon as I showed up to the scene of what was going on, I didn't get out of my car right away. And I think they punched up my plates, right? They punched up my plates. And when I was walking towards them, the officer that was dealing with the matter was acting, I could hear the shakiness in his voice. And when I turned around, because when I parked up, there was only him that was standing there. But when I parked up and finally came out of my car, there was 2 more squad cars that came. And those 2 guys that came, they didn't say Nathan to me. They had their hands on their hip, and that's it. And the initial officer that was dealing with the matter was he quickly told me what was going on. Like, and I was like, okay, thank you. He goes, I already know that you do this and do that. And I was letting you know this is what happened. I said, okay, thank you. And we shook hands. We understood each other. Everything was great. Everything's great. We got the national out. He's out on the streets right now on the road. And everything's good. And it was good to know that they can respect us at some level. You know what I mean? And it's all about business. If you don't, for 9 years, David, for 9 years, David, I've been trying to show the people that their mindset has to change, and it's got to be about the business. And you broke it down. I don't know if anybody was listening to you, but if they were, I hope they were taking down notes. I'm serious, because that's exactly how everything is. We don't have our stuff yet, but when we do get stronger as a nation, we'll be doing the same thing. You would have your plates diplomatic. You would have your house diplomatic. And all these things would fall under the international law and would be conducted as business. It's business as usual in the commercial world. Ashe, man. Thank you, Noble.
I just want to answer this quick question by YBB. She talked about birth certificate name as a business. The idea basically is a record. I heard an interesting statement where somebody asked, "Where do you live?" Right, and most people would give the address of their house. Right. But if everybody talks about themselves being this divine being as this soul, but where does your soul live? Your soul lives in your body. So where do you live? In your body. You domicile at that location. Right? So your birth certificate, and birth is BERTA, birth, right? When your mother docked, right, an estate came into existence. The estate can only survive with you being around, right? So they gave the name of the estate the name on the birth certificate, because what? They created a bond on you. They created the and so on. Because a certificate basically is the receipt for a bond. Mm-hmm. So they created a bond on you. So they give you the certificate that says basically that this estate was created, right? The idea basically is that you weren't born here. You were born with source or Allah or God or whatever it is. You weren't born here, right? From that perspective, from a divine perspective, you live in your body, your temple, right? That's where you live. Your conveyance, and a conveyance, if people look it up, is basically an energy transfer container, right? Because a soul, which is a soul, is a sun, right? And if you understand it from that perspective, then what the birth certificate that they're giving you is saying that your estate was created on that day. The same day you got your conveyance, exited your mother and docked at the harbor and birthed, was when that estate was created. And your estate is the way with which you, the soul, by way of your conveyance, interacts with this world, right? Through commercial activities. So your estate is a company. It is a corporation that you walk around with. What they have convinced you and convinced me for many years is that your estate is you. It is not you. It is something you can drive like a car. When you get out of your car, you don't take the car inside in you and sit down on your couch with your car. Your car stays in the garage. So it's the same kind of idea. Your estate is a corporation. And through that corporation allows you to own everything from a pencil to a multi-million-dollar company. Right? And you claim it. Right? And once you operate it from that perspective, you go and do what you have to do. But you have to get the idea. I hate the word straw man. I understand why people use it. But the straw man gives people the wrong perspective of what estate is. The straw man as a term is a delusion and an illusion that prevents people from seeing the estate as a corporation and as a business by which your body, your soul, can do business on this plane made manifest known as Earth.
David, I have a question.
Yeah.
Can your estate collect whole term life insurance?
Well, your estate, the information would be in your estate's name, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh.
Okay. So see, right, because remember, a person is. They say what they talk about. In the law, they talk about individuals, persons, and natural persons and stuff like that. But a person can also be artificial, which means it can be a corporation. But a corporation can own stuff, sort of, right? You, by being a living person, get to interact on that level. So your estate, which probably has the same name as you go sign up on that and know your estate owns something, right? But you're not your estate. Your estate only exists on paper. You as a living being is separate from that, because when you sign up that contract for that term life insurance, isn't everything done on paper?
Maybe the initial application process, I guess, and data gets filled in.
It exists on paper. It doesn't happen anywhere else, right? Because only corporations can basically do those contracts on paper. Corporations, as Cam said, corporations can only talk to other corporations. You can't talk to them. Your estate can. So your estate owns the term life thing, and you reap the benefits of it by way of your estate. Just like you reap the discount on your business lunch by way of your corporation, which just happens to be your
drink
estate,
is in the fridge
or whatever corporation that you create, and so on. That's why I say it's a different in perspective. You literally have to stand up in front of the mirror and walk around behind the mirror to then look through realize basically that the mirror is one-way glass.
Some small one at the top.
So then that means I can like draw off my off the policy, take cash from the policy, reinvest it, and not have to worry about it.
Yeah, so it's
basically.
on the way
As
on
long as you follow
on
the
the top.
rules and the rules that apply to you.
And there's a
Right, but
one
remember,
and
everything
maybe
is still
others in
rules
there.
at the end of the day. But the idea is that they don't want you to think that the estate is a company. They want you to think that the estate is you. And as long as you think the estate is you, that puts you in an automatic trap. It puts you in a box, right? But there's no box. If you talk about thinking outside the box, the first thing to realize is that there is no box, right? But once you realize that the estate is a company, and if you're thinking from the perspective that you're the CEO of that company, what would you do? What would you do, really? How would you operate? How do companies do business? When you and what you could probably do is get the Companies Act. If there's a Companies Act for your thing, you then operate. Oh, so these are the things that a company can do. Oh, really? And then you look at the taxes. Oh, as a company, I can do this and I can do that, and I can defer my taxes till whenever or whatever. You know, as I say, a different perspective. Now, I'm not saying that you necessarily put you create your first company in your name. You can. I would suggest that you create another name. Call it the
So the Black
ABC
Jesus is
Sales
not an
Company,
image
or
according to your
ABC
theory.
Enterprises, or
No,
something.
but if we are black people, why we always
and
are
then your
subject to the
estate
black
runs
man?
that
We
by
still
way
have a
of you,
slavery
because
mentality,
you're the
brother.
CEO of it.
We still have a slavery mentality. Think that
But
the
you
white man
control
is
the estate,
superior.
so you control
And
the
they are
estate,
evil.
and the
And
estate
most of them are
controls the
evil. They
company,
treat black people with disdain. I've seen it.
right?
I experience it.
But the company
So why are
owns
we always
stuff.
using them? Why
Oh,
don't
it
you
has
use
an
somebody
account
that look
at
like you? That's it. That's what I'm saying.
Costco
But
and
most of us
at
have been
wherever,
brainwashed
but
into
it's not like
using
let
their
me
image to
keep.
represent
Yeah,
our
I
God.
think I'll wrap it
Why
out
don't you
here
use
because
your image
it's
to
not
represent
my.
your God? Why is
So,
always what the white man give you?
so just
That's
to be
all I'm
clear though,
saying.
that
So whether
means,
it's
so basically what
black
you're
or
saying
white, I
is
don't
that
care. But
I can get a
use
whole,
something
my
identify
my
with
estate can get
you.
a whole term life
That's the
insurance
problem.
policy.
We don't
I can
use
then take the capital
something
out of
that
that,
identify with
reinvest it
us. We
into
use
something
something that
else,
the
and then
white
when I
man
pay it
give
back out of
us
my
and
own
brainwash
pocket,
us
pay
into
me back,
thinking that
or
Jesus
write
was
that
white.
off,
But when you
basically.
read the book of Revelation,
Yeah,
it tells you
right. But you
about
Um,
have to structure it properly,
it give
right?
a
Because
okay.
from their
beer was like
perspective,
gold,
they're
and it's
making the
that copper
presumption
color.
that
It's more like a brown man, maybe like you
you
and
are you and
myself.
the estate are the
But why we
same thing,
always put in this
right?
white
That's why,
glory
like, I think
Jesus?
Cam
We
was
need to stop.
suggesting that
And
people
it's better
cooperate the
not to
name
make a
of the
representation of
estate.
him than
The estate,
or
what
to
is
make
it?
a
Copyright your straw
representation
man
of
name. But what
something
you're
that
doing
you
is
can
copywriting
identify with.
your estate
Can you
name.
identify with
And
these
your
evil
estate is a
people? Look at what
corporation.
they
So if
did
you had a
to us in
corporation with it,
slavery
you
back stuff.
copyright
Come
the
on.
name so that
Come
nobody
on,
else
brother.
could use
Wake
it.
up, man. Get conscious about on the
Yeah,
nationality and
I did that.
our history.
Right. And so you copyright
White
the
man can't
name,
be
and then you put a
Jesus.
security
Because the white
agreement
man
with
them
it to
evil.
say
Look
that
at
you're no power of
how evil
attorney
they
over
are to each
anything
other
that
and
the
to us.
estate produces,
You
the
want to
company
worship
produces,
an image that represents that
and go
evil.
from there.
Come on, brother.
I'm sorry,
Wake
can you
the
repeat
hell
that? Did
up.
you say just
Wake up.
say that I'm
Boxer,
not
wake
owner
up.
of
Yeah, my
anything? Is that
virgin, but
what
maybe
you
tell
just
it to
said?
the truth. We need to wake up.
You,
Yeah,
I
better when I
said
use
that
no
you
image at
would
all than use the white
copyright
man
the
image.
name of
Yeah.
the estate, and
Mhm.
then you could do if you don't have a trust, you could do a security agreement, and basically you as if you're a national claim, there's another way to do it if you're just a regular individual. I can't recall off the top of my head. Basically, like, create a power of attorney agreement. So in other words, you have a living, well, in the sovereign movement, they would say that the living man, which is you, the flesh and blood and so on, owns the corporation, which has the estate name in capital letters, right? And you claiming that by way of a security agreement that you own all of its assets, because it cannot survive without you. Your estate can't generate money, it can't pay bills, it can't do anything without you. You can't create intellectual property, all of that kind of stuff without you. Without your God-given talents and so on. These are the things that
interest.
Sorry. Oh, sorry. Anyway, I yield the floor.
It's going to take up a lot of time, and that's something that we can actually open up for another time for, because that takes in-depth explanation. Plus, it ultimately depends on the type of contract that it is. So there's many types. But anyway, we won't go into that in depth. But thank you anyway, Noble, for that. All right, let's move on. We don't have a lot of time left, and I needed to get this information into your notebooks. If you're part of the Noble Drew Ali Library, National Library on Telegram, feel free to find this document in there. Thank you, Steve Scott. Been a while. It's been a while.
It has been.
Yeah. Oh man, it's good to hear your voice, bro. I know you're doing good. All right. Let's move on. All right. David, Patrick and Romy. Before you come up with your questions, I want you to hold your questions. I want you to write them down actually real quick, because I want to really kind of go through this before we end our class today. All right. So please just write down your question, because I know, Patrick, you got something really good. I know, Romy, boy, you got something back there ready to go with. But just write it down. I don't want you to lose your thoughts. That's what I'm saying is, okay, so let's go through this, and then we'll go back and get to both gentlemen. Okay, what just happened? All right. In the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about diplomatic missions, diplomatic status, and everything of that sort. And David came and told you and showed you much more clearer, I hope much more clearer, that it's all about how you're moving in the world. It's either you have to understand that your estate, your companies, your trust, all those things are different forms of business. And in a commercial world, you want to get really familiar with the commercial world and how it runs in wherever you're from in this world. Commercial language and the commercial law is worldwide. If you don't have the commercial law maxims as part of your records, look up the commercial law maxims. All right. Look up the commercial law maxims. All right. Oh, if you're looking up for documents and you're part of the Telegram groups, any of the Telegram groups, we have 2 of them. Well, we have quite a few, but to get our documents, look up, be part of the Noble Drew Ali National Library on Telegram and the Noble Drew Ali Archives group. Feel free to be part of that and download any of the documents that we've talked about in all our classes, our regularly scheduled CAP classes, and even our business classes that we've been doing for this semester. The business class is coming to semester is coming to an end very soon, and we'll in our next semester we're going to continue. We're going to go back to how our classes were before, with the regular classes of history, etymology, epistemology, etc., and the astrologies. All right. It'll still be the same format as what we're doing right now, from 1 to 3 o'clock. That's Eastern Standard Time, of course.
Nobody could control how I think. God controls how I think, whether black or white. I'm not in a racist thing,
which is 6 o'clock GMT time.
So I'm honestly not on this white thing. On this.
All right, so we will be going back to that same format of class erudition, where we're answering all of things and not just financial stuff. History and law go together, and it's very important that We teach also not just the financial stuff, but where the history comes from and everything, because they both relate. Always remember that history and law go together.
You guys are looking deep into slavery and all this kind of thing, reminding yourself of our past.
I want to turn your attention to your screens.
People, they respect us.
If you're from Canada, and this is just an example.
I'm a Christian and I'm not in this white and black thing.
This is an example that I'm just using, but using this example and letting you know that it's international. So it doesn't matter where you're from. This applies to you also internationally.
Remember that's all they do.
99%, I guarantee 100%, not 99, 100% that if you were to look in your district or area or where you are domiciling, living, residing, and look up the Vienna Conventions for that area, you'll see that they have to copy the original Vienna Conventions of 1969, 61, etc., etc.
So always this Jesus that is handed down to us from these white people, evil white people. Nah, man. So even though,
like I said, if you're part of the Telegram groups that I mentioned earlier on, feel free to get the Vienna Convention.
Jesus Christ, right? Yeshua. Than leave out this picture of a white man, because it is offensive.
You could download the Vienna Convention as a PDF.
You may not have that consciousness
if you're on your computers.
Our consciousness that we have been handed down a lot of things, right? Because the Bible never records Jesus with long hair and brown, white skin and blue
The
eyes.
convention deals with nationalities and nations around the world that have treaty agreements. That have treaty agreements.
That means that they look down on their own people.
If you've done your studies, you know that we have multiple treaties.
Why they classifying God as
many treaties. And treaty, I've taught you that treaty and supreme treaty and constitutions are the supreme law of the land. They can come up with any act, code, or ordinance.
Stop it.
But those are not supreme laws of the land. Constitution and treaties is the supreme law of the land. As Moorish nationals, as nationals, American nationals, you have multiple treaties. So many, it's unbelievable. Even the ones who live in the islands, the Maroons, yes, those are treaties also. Those are the laws of the land, and they should be treated as such. The war that's happening, and it's not really a war, it's just commerce. It's commercial dealings. And what the people are not familiar with is the laws of water and the law of land. Acts, codes, and ordinances is the law of water, operating on dry land. And you know, and I know, it can't go like that. Well, if it does, that would be considered a flood. But you don't want that. So you're on dry land, and you're not underwater. On dry land, the supreme law of the law of the land is constitutions and treaties. The Vienna Convention and other conventions, such as the United Nations Declaration's Rights of Indigenous People, also agree with the sovereign. Nations all over the planet. Noble Drew Ali wanted us to learn international law, and that there's a foreign status when it comes to being who you are on the planet and operating, just like what David was expressing to you earlier on through your estate. You as a living being operating the estate, but using your nationality when it's necessary and when it's needed. As diplomats, if you truly get what we've been talking about for the last couple of weeks in this semester, consulates and diplomatic missions need to be built all over the place. In the United States, there's too many to count of so many diplomatic missions and consulates that have been put together. In the UK, So many that you can hardly, it's too many. And they're growing too. And that's the great thing, because we need them there too also. The islands, the same. It's growing slow, but they're taking their time and they're doing their thing. But that has to happen everywhere. Why? Well, just like what David was saying, you may want to travel to another country that has a mission there anyway. And you're on a mission. In the Vienna Convention, it's going to give you different definitions. I shouldn't say different. I'm using the wrong words. I should say multiple definitions. Get familiar with them. This is the language that they speak. Consulates, consular posts, diplomatic missions, all follow and fall under treaty law. Treaty law. And what they don't give you, if they don't do it, that is a war crime. And it's one of the highest crimes on the planet. And it's called treason. No country, no company wants to go through that. Okay? And when I say war, it doesn't necessarily have to come to guns and knives. It can go through international political platforms because you're international. All right? So please look it up. We're going to go into the Vienna Convention more deeply tomorrow. I'm also going to show you detail for detail on how a declaration should look and a proclamation should look for a business. When you're putting a business together and you want it out of the jurisdiction of whatever country that you are domiciling right now. All right. These are the last questions. I see Romy, I see Patrick, and I see Empress Bev. We're going to go first with Patrick. I hope you saved your question down, because I know it's been a little while. I didn't want you to lose your thoughts, but if you can regain yourself and put yourself up, the floor is yours. Patrick, the floor is yours. I see your hand up. Patrick, I see your hand up. Unmute yourself.
Yes. Sorry. Yeah, technical difficulties. Greetings, Grand Rising. Just wanted to quickly run something by you. I know someone who's having problem with a sitting tenant. They won't leave, and they've gone past the time that the contract says they're supposed to be there, and they're just not leaving. It's now in the hands of a lawyer. It's someone I know, it's not me. I was just wondering if there's anything that one could do. So in this case, would you say, for example, could you find out the bond number of the case and then take out a lien on it? Yeah, is that right?
Yes. Or you can discharge the bond itself.
Oh, discharge the bond.
Yeah, because if there's a case going on in court, that means that there's a bond floating around that's been issued or created by the individual that they have under that bond. Does that make sense?
How are you benefiting from discharging the bond?
Because it's a commercial dealings, and anything that's in court, anything that's in any form of court is a commercial dealing, and what they're doing is acting as collectors for a commercial bond. If you abandon the bond, then they're going to just take it. If you accept the bond, then you're discharging it. It's not about, you get what I mean? Like you're just discharging it and what's it called? Doing the accounting. You're helping them do the accounting. The system's an accounting system.
Mhm.
And you're doing the accounting by discharging the bond, doing all the procedures to the bond, and giving an affidavit to them for discharging the bond. Let them put it on the record that you're discharging the bond. And you in some cases, depending on if you're actually doing an appearance, you'd have to say it for the record to let the record be shown that I'm receiving the bond.
And what sort of what heading would that be under? Or like when you're discharging that bond, are you going to put on the heading "discharging of bond," or what is it then? Is that what paperwork is that?
That's under all of this is under the UCCs, Uniform Commercial Codes.
Right.
So look
so
up
that letter would be a UCC filing
under discharge. Under discharge, look up UCC under discharge, and use that. Because that's what you're dealing with. It's all of it's all bonding and discharging.
Okay.
Living the bond age, and that's what it is. It's just people are not familiar. They didn't know that every time they put the signature or they make an appearance somewhere, that there's a bond being created or a warrant. Another one is a warrant.
Yes.
Right. This is why we talk about doing lien searches. Because you want to make sure that there's no warrants. When police stop young Black men, they're not stopping them for their looks. They're stopping them because they know that Black people don't know about the bonding system and that a warrant is what we look for. So they're looking for warrants on your name.
That's right.
You get what I'm saying? Right?
Yes. And they see us as stateless. So we don't, we're just easy pickings for those who know a bit more than us, and they take complete advantage of it.
That's right. That's why they're in our neighborhoods and everything, because we don't know as a people, have not been taught that it's a bonding system, it's an accounting system, right? And that anytime they put out warrants on our children, that's what the police are looking for. They're looking for those warrants. They're looking for any warrants on any. They feel like they look like they may have warrants.
Yes.
Right. So if the people understood the commercial dealings that happens on a court basis, then they wouldn't have jails the way they are. Just put it that way, because we'd all know it's a bonding system.
So in reality, so let's say you did that procedure, then because the bottom line is the person wants this person out of her house, right?
Yeah.
Would that speed things up in terms of, getting the police around there to get her out? Because it seems like the only way she would leave is to actually be forced to leave by gunpoint.
Remember what I said earlier on? That currency is the debt. I mean, currency is the debt is the currency. Sorry.
Yeah.
That is the currency. So what you have to do is put a lien against that bond, right? Which you're creating a debt now, not for you, but for whoever for that bond that's on it, and you're actually making a claim because of that lien.
And inside the lien is the claim, and the claim is the lien.
That's right.
No, I don't.
And then you claim it, and then you go after them, say, "Hey, look, I already claimed it." And they have to prove that they claimed it, because first in line is first in time.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, right?
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
Right.
And if they don't have it in first in line, first in time, then it's discharged. I've seen them do it with Bill Cosby and this other celebrity, but he's from Canada though. He's like a celebrity in Canada. But he was raping all these little girls though. You know what I'm saying? And it was a case that was on Canadian TV. He did exactly what Bill Cosby was doing, but Bill Cosby did it like 50 years ago, 100 years ago. He was doing it like yesterday, right? So they took him out of his job, kicked him out. They burnt up his credibility, crashed his character, and they had him in jail, put him on bail. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Everything he did was exactly like Bill Cosby. I don't know if they're brothers or they're at the same party, But
with my report.
he got off.
You would have made the necessary
and he got off with
corrections.
what is called a peace
And
bond.
then the piece that you
So
added to it,
people,
was
they
totally
understand the whole
misconstruing,
bonding system. So they're like, you know what?
Information. As a matter of fact,
We may not have
Jordan
captured the
be
bond
the
on
one who
time and
addressed
all
you
this.
as Josh,
But to set it off or
by
to
Jordan.
discharge
So you
that bond, we're going to give you guys a peace bond. And they gave them a peace bond, and he was out, and you never heard the case ever again.
Was that a Caucasian, that guy?
He was more not Caucasian. He was kind of mixed, like Arabian, like you know, the Mediterranean type of look. I think he was Iranian, half Iranian, and half Canadian. But got off, no problem. And they
so, are you saying that if Bill Cosby had done the same thing, he would have got off as well?
Yeah, because they paid for the debt. They couldn't bring that case back again because that's another. Where would he? How can he be charged twice for that?
So please,
you know,
sir, when
he already paid off his debt.
I'd appreciate if you give me a call.
You know how they say to people who come out of jail that they paid their debt to society? That's no joke.
Yeah,
that's for real. That's for real. That's what's happening. Is that they're paying their debt to society through a bond, and that the jail is a warehouse full of bonds sitting in their beds, waiting for a meal every whatever hours.
Well, then people who've been wrongly imprisoned, when they come out, they should be given millions then for their time that they've paid. They paid for something that they shouldn't have been paying for.
Oh, they're broke. When they come out, their sin numbers smash. That's when they have no credibility, and that's why they can't get it. They have to get a simple job or a job that will give them something under the table, so it gives no record because their credit is smashed up because of the jail thing.
But if they knew law, couldn't they actually? Couldn't they actually put a claim, affidavit of claim, for the fact that they've been put in jail wrongfully, and you know, get some money back?
If they did the rebate on the case number, account, or on the account, then that record would expunge, and it will stand as a record that the individual or the estate discharged all the bonds, because they're not allowed to take it. They're a company, and it's not their bond. They never created it. It's just like the principle they're running off of is it's almost like if you dropped $100 bill and someone else picked it up, but they're a corporation, they picked it up, not an individual. A corporation picked up the $100 bill and it's trying to claim for it and say that a corporation can claim a $100 bill that dropped out of a living person's pocket. Do you see what I'm saying to you?
Yeah.
They can't do that. Only living people can pick up a $100 bill. Make sense? If you drop a $100 bill and I see you drop it, I'm a living person. I can.
So are you saying that when you're in the system? Oh yeah, I think what you're saying is that when you're in the system, you're seen as dead, and only a live entity can pick up something that's real.
Yes, and hold things and keep.
Yeah.
Right. What companies been doing for years is pretending to be living people. That's how they took over the world, is pretending to be living people, and it's not. It's dead corporations. When I hear people say, I got a loan from Scotia Bank, I said, no, that's impossible because a building cannot give you a loan. Only Patrick can give me a loan.
Yeah.
Because he's living and he has to own the money.
So that's where they're getting all this money from. It's us. And masquerading as if they're giving us the money or the bank's giving us the money.
Yes,
but it's actually us. We are the creditors.
We can only be because we're the living. How is there power in something when you turn on a computer? What gives it electricity? Isn't there a source?
That's right. Well, but when these people go to the bank, the other day I saw the Securicore company going to the bank, and it looked like they were either taking out money from the bank or putting money in the bank. So clearly there is some money there. But what I researched was that 97% of the money that's supposedly in the bank is not tangible money, you know. So like they're only playing around with the 3%, apparently, it seems. Is that correct?
They're bundling up bonds. That's all they're doing, and selling them. They're bundling up bonds and selling them. So if you like get a mortgage, your mortgage is bundled up with a whole bunch of other bonds, other mortgages, and they sell that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. That's why they can't find. That's why they can't give you back the notes or the bonds that are being transferred all over the world through the stock exchange, because they're bundling them up, fractionalizing the bonds and trying to make their way through from 0 equals 0 to make 0 equal 1 and 2 and 7 of imaginary money.
Just one quick question come to mind. From your position where you are and where I am, let's say if I, told you of a building that that the Moors could actually purchase, if I told you the name and the size, the actual lateral, horizontal size of the building and everything about the building, could you, from where you are, actually purchase the building? And would you want to do so? Or could you?
International buying is nothing. It's the same as anywhere else.
Okay, when I say purchase, okay, I don't mean purchase. I mean, not purchase. I mean acquire then the building by maybe, I don't know, taking out a lien on it. Take out a lien on the land from where you are there.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
And then at that point, then anybody who is actually making money from the land or paying tax on this land and the building, they would then be paying you, wouldn't they?
They would be, yes.
Mm.
The only thing is I'd have to come there and at some point to defend the whole case.
Oh, you couldn't just do it from where you are?
I can, but at some point I'd have to come there to defend that part of the case. If they needed to do cross-examining or they have questions, I have to be there directly.
Because where I am, I'm seeing thousands and thousands of properties abandoned, just left, thousands and thousands of acres of land just left. And I'm in Moorish territory.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing, though. You do all the processes and put the lien on there and then send them notices. And then they have to prove that they have all allodial title. And they can't. Most likely, it's just like what Willie was going through, where there's an easement on the land. Mm-hmm. So look out, find out who has the easement and contact them. Deal with that on that level. I can do that from anywhere in the world, and so can you. Mm-hmm. So can you, because we have people that are nationalized that live in Canada that has land in Jamaica, has land in Trinidad, has grandpa left them land in Guyana. You get what I mean? And
yeah,
the same thing.
But the point I make is that we actually have a stake here. This is actually our land. We are the heirs to this land, not just where I am, but the whole planet. And right. So it is our business, in my opinion, to get back what is ours. Every single penny that is owed to us, we should get it back, either in terms of land or gold or whatever it is you want to call it. We should get it back, and we should endeavor to do so, because at the end of the day, it's ours. At the end of the day, what are we waiting for? You know what I mean? I should be able to just ring you and say, "Hey, Cam, look, I've just seen this massive stadium, man, and I think we need this. So let's just put a claim on it, or put a lien on it, and take it over." And you would say, "Yeah, man, let me know the details of it." And between the two of us, we should be able to actually get it done, because I'm here and I could be your representative and I would feed all the information to you about it. Or in fact, you could come here and we do the business. It's up to you.
It's nothing new. I've had nationals in the US ask me if I want a police station that they've taken down over something that they did with the nationals, and they got the police to leave that building. And I remember one time one of the nationals gave me a call. He goes, "Hey man, I got a police station. You want it?" I was like,
and did you take that police station?
I didn't want to take it because I knew that.
Why not? It's land. Take it.
Man, but I have to be there. I had to be there to do stuff to it, and I didn't have the time to do that at the time.
Well, get someone who can. Get another Moor who could be there in your place.
Well, that's what I said to them. I said to them, just donate it to the Moor Science Temple and have the Moor Science Temple Moors, use it.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. All right, then I thank you for that, and I yield. Thanks.
Ashe, that's exactly. You see, Patrick, you're right on time, always on time. And your mindset is exactly what we're talking about. That's exactly what we're supposed to be doing. When it comes to land, you already know it's yours. One thing that they do not own is the land. And I know that. If you do your research, and I'm telling you all over the world, wherever you're from, do your research, and you'll see that a lot of the land that they claim to own, whether there's a giant stadium on it or something on it, it's the name.
I even noticed, Brother Cam, that people where I am of this jurisdiction, they're so lazy. They've got the land. They can't even be bothered to do anything with it. I see a man buy a whole heap of bricks to actually build on the land. He can't even be bothered to build on the land. Yeah, whereas if you gave us that kind of land, we'd be building and building and building. These guys can't be bothered. Well, they're too busy. They're too busy having a siesta.
Some of them had to buy the land. And sometimes when you buy the land and then you decide to build something, that costs more money. I see that a lot in if you go to the islands, like Cuba, different islands, and you see half-built mansions, half-built buildings, is because of that reason, because they had to buy the land and the building and the tax.
But I'm talking about these guys here. They've actually, I know one particular guy, he has inherited the land from his father, a massive house and a massive piece of land and a massive swimming pool. His father built the swimming pool, let's say 75% built the house, right? So that he could live in it. And the land is there, fertile land, everything. And all he has to do is do the other 25% his father didn't do. He can't be bothered. He preferred to sell it and make the money on it. When the land has actually got so much potential.
Yeah, he did this.
And that is typical of the people I see here. They actually just can't be bothered. They'd rather just cash in their chips real quick rather than work the land.
Well, they're going to learn very soon that was wealth right there. Lots of wealth and generations of wealth too. Well, ignorance of the law, there's no excuse. Thank you for that, Noble. You're always right on time, like I say, always on.
Thank you.
All right, Romy, I see your hand up. The floor is yours.
Yes. Thank you once again, Noble Cap. I think I kind of lost my train of thought, but let me see if I could streamline this. Mm-hmm. Now, when David P. was on his run, right? Mm-hmm. I just wanted to get some clarity on what exactly was being said, being that. Now, the concepts that he was talking about as far as living behind your business, your estate, stuff like that, right. The gas card, don't have nothing in your name, stuff like that. That right. Concept I do understand from on their side, their point of view, right? We're talking about the rich, they don't own nothing like that. Right. Where I need clarity on is, was he essentially saying that when you become nationalized, even then, this is how you would have to live in order to get, I guess I'd say, the maximum privileges? Because let's say like the noble that went to Walmart, they had to toss up with them and stuff like that. Mm. Now we're saying that Walmart is a corporation that would prefer to speak to a corporation. But being that that person is a noble now, and we're supposed to get that exemption, are we saying that even when you become a noble, it would be better to go and address Walmart with the business and not you as a noble? Is what I want clarity on.
Yeah, I think that's what he was dealing with. He was talking about that as nobles, right? You can use your business to actually set a proper accounts with them that deal with your nationality. I was doing the same thing, giving examples with Morehouse Law Office, that a lot of the products that we have they're underneath that business with our nationality. It's our nationality that's here under the diplomatic mission, doing business as a foreign business in a foreign land. You get what I'm saying? And that's what he's trying to say is you have to put them together and extend yourself, not just from the estate, but through even your corporation business that you create. You can even take your name that you have and make that a corporation, like how they did with Ferrari, like how they do with Puma, Adidas. That's somebody's name. You know what I mean? And make those corporations. Those corporations are now going to be sellable, to our people, because our people buy labels, and that's what we've done since the 80s, since the 90s, I should say.
We love them brands, boy.
Those brands, those labels. And that's what the world changed to when it comes to commerce. I shouldn't say changed to. I think they just made it more broader when they started doing, you bought a watch from Jacob. Yeah, Jacob the jeweler. And Jacob's some little short guy that makes watches. You know what I mean? And we just caught on to that, not realizing that even Jacob had to do the same thing you're doing. He had to nationalize too. Don't not think, people, that the rest of the world doesn't do this. This is what makes brand names, because they have to come behind businesses sometimes and be that business just to save taxes, just to save this, just to save that, and be out of the jurisdiction of other jurisdictions. I can't tell you how many times I've seen Europeans go to court for tax reasons, and the smart ones will say, well, no, this business that you're talking about is foreign. It's foreign. And they go, okay, foreign to your jurisdiction. Oh, okay. Once it's foreign to their jurisdiction, they're not supposed to be paying taxes to the jurisdiction. That's how it goes.
So essentially what I'm getting is becoming a nationalizing. What you're essentially doing is strengthening the stuff you already do and execute within their system, right? Basically, it's like a mirror effect. But just now you're kind of floating above the fray as far as their system is concerned, because essentially their system is a piggyback off of ours. So.
And that's what I'm saying. It's not really their system. It's really our system. It's just we haven't been using it with gold backing the fiat.
Well, when I say their system, I mean the fakery that they continue to.
Yeah, with the contracts and
the
stuff. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's a de facto system. It's really got to go back to the gold standard, and that gold backs up the paper, whatever's printed, substance for substance, right? So that it will go back to that. Once the Moors or the people of the planet who own the planet wake up, we'll definitely go back to substance for substance. But thank you for that, Romy. Always on time too.
No problem. Another thing I wanted to point out real quick. This whole setup that they're doing, where they're essentially removing, I'd say, like cashiers and stuff like that. To me, I see that as a play to kind of diminish us as far as executing, things like the tax exemption and stuff like that. Because essentially, if you're dealing with machines now, who are you going to address these grievances to? What is your take on that?
Well, I see it too, and that's why when I started to investigate on it, most companies that are doing that are telling me about the account that we have to create with them. and have special cards or special numbers to give to the machine itself when you do your purchases. I see that happening, but like I said, in this future, everything that we've ever known in this past, in the last 5 years, is not going to happen in the future. The cashless society and all that stuff, they do want to bring that. They're going to bring it, but it's not going to work because the gold standard of what all of the other BRIC companies or countries or nationalities have is going to trump everything. It has to go back. It has to go back. It's been crashing so many times till it can't crash no more.
Because I see them, they want to make that play. They really want to make that play, but
it's gonna crash. It won't last. It will not last. I'm telling you, because it's been crashing. Like in an age, there's 2,166, some say 63 years in an age. And in a good half of that age, they've been crashing all the time. And when it became around 2006, 2008, the crashes are coming closer and closer behind each other. It used to be for like a long distance away. You get what I mean? Like, like 1920s crash. And they crashed again in 1933. That's a good distance, right?
Yeah. Now they're happening in quick succession.
Yes.
I'm noticing that, like, it's funny. For the 2000s, it seems like there were more crashes than all the years gone by. When I was watching that, I was like, hold up, these things usually happen every now and then.
Now they happen quicker.
Yeah.
Quicker, to the point they can't do none no more.
All right, then I ain't gonna take up too much more time. I yield.
Ashe. Thank you for that. Noble. Excellent. Empress Bev, you're next. You see, you're ready. Go ahead. The floor is yours.
Greetings, Brother Camrell. And greetings, brothers and sisters. I think someone's got their... Just 1 second, please.
Yeah. Check.
Okay, I think we're good now.
All right.
Okay, yeah. So my question is to do with the obtaining the diplomatic status. Now, I remember, I think it was last week, one of the sisters said that she'd written to the tax office in the UK, and it took a while, but they eventually sent her a letter saying that they acknowledged her diplomatic status. So the question I have to ask is, in addition to her national papers, what did she send them for them to accept that? Because I got absolutely no response at all. And I sent mine in December, and I've had no response from them. So how did they offer her diplomatic status by just sending the national papers? Or was there something missing?
Well, I don't know exactly what she sent. She definitely talked about her being a diplomat and that her being part of a mission inside of the same area or country that the mission's in, and they accepted it.
Sorry, when you say the mission, what mission?
If there's a consul's post or a mission inside of, let's say, where are you from? Are you from the UK? Are you from UK?
Yes, I'm from Britain.
If you're from Britain, there should be a mission or a consulate there, right? And if you're part of that consulate and the consulate has record of you having been, nationalized and everything inside their records, what the consulate's supposed to do is contact on your behalf to Global Affairs or those entities that are interested in diplomatic missions, and you get that.
So are you saying there's a post that she's applied for?
She probably said that she's part of the post or a diplomatic mission.
Right. So in England, I don't know of any diplomatic mission here. That you're talking about that's associated with the Moors, right?
Well, it doesn't have to be a diplomatic mission. It could be a consular's post too. And there's consulate.
Would that be to do with the Moors?
That would do with anybody who's a national. Any national. You know why? Okay, you know how they have Chinatown in every city, every major city in the world? Is because they have nationals that come from those countries to come and build a Chinatown right there. So when they have Chinese people that want to come to that country, they come to Chinatown first and then enjoy the rest of the country.
Right, but how does that give them diplomatic status?
From their nationality, because in China they can nationalize too.
Right, but I've nationalized.
Yes.
But how do I get the tax office, for example, to recognize that I'm not just a national, but also I have diplomatic status? Don't I have to do something specific or work with them or what do I have to do?
I would resend my paperwork, but in the notice of the paperwork, which should be your cover letter, the notice, talk about your diplomatic membership with a consulate or a diplomatic mission, and you put the address for that. Contact that consulate and let them know that you did that, and also give them your paperwork. If they already have your paperwork, then everything should be good. You should be able to get that letter back from them accepting your consulate. Your membership as a diplomatic member, just like how that matriarch did.
Okay, so in this case, in the UK, who is the consular, or where is the consular that is been recognised?
The consulate is, if I remember, there's Chris and Mel's consulate, the IMN consulate.
IMN, International Moor Nation. That one is. That's Chris's one.
Yes, that one.
I don't know. Does he have like full accreditation or whatever you want to call it, with the nine posts that are filled? Does he have all of that?
Yes, of course he does. That's why I'm giving you.
Well, I'm not sure. That's why I was asking.
Okay, well, that's why I'm referring you to them. I don't know if there's another one, then I don't know their complete information, because we're all supposed to have information for each consulate, and I have that information for them. So they're still operating.
And
Contact them. Ask them. Go ahead.
Sorry, who's the other one?
I don't know the other ones.
So you just know Chris's one?
Yeah, but I've heard there's others still, but they haven't contacted us to give us information about where their whereabouts are. Like it's just hearsay. It's just
wash out this cement.
No, Brother Micah said that he was going to get one together, but I don't know how far he's got with that.
Well, if that's going on, then he should give us a contact and let us put something on the record for the record to be shown. So
I don't know.
Can back him up also.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Then. So I'll see if I can contact Chris and try and get that sorted. And I think also a brother called Lord Roberts. I think he's the other one that I think Michael originally was working with. That says that he can sort that out as well. So yeah, I'll see if I can contact any of them. And see where I can go in order to get this status sorted out. Because each time I go, for example, just for gas, and I tell them about the status, they said they don't know nothing about that, and just keep throwing it down. So
it's probably because you're telling them that you're diplomatic, because every country has one. And if you look in the HMRC, they also have it for, they still have the same laws that we have for diplomatic missions and diplomatic members and agents for a mission, from a mission, or a consular post. That's why I'm saying to you to look up inside the Vienna Conventions, because the Vienna Conventions, all the countries have signed to them. all of the countries on the planet have signed the Vienna Convention that deals with foreign nationals.
Yeah, I'm not disputing the process. What I'm really querying is how can I put myself into that situation where I am recognized as being a diplomat?
Send your information to Global Affairs.
Global Affairs.
Look up companies that are dealing with global affairs, global foreign diplomats. Over here in Canada, we have one called Global Affairs and the Office of Protocol. The Office of Protocol is a process of things that they would, they can't say no to. That's one thing I know. They can't say no. They can't say, no, we don't approve. So it's not you're not looking for an approval from anybody. Because one thing you have to realize is that you are your nationality. And if anyone has a rebuttal against it, then they would have to bring a claim rebutting that you are not a national. And they would have to prove beyond all reasonable doubt that you are not a national. And that's going to be the hardest thing ever. So they would lose automatically.
Does national equal diplomat?
Yes, that's what the status is. That's the steering wheel that we need to use is the diplomatic steering wheel.
Right. So if you're a national, you're automatically a diplomat.
Yes, because you're claiming you're not stateless. Remember, there's a lot of people that are stateless. Yeah. Stateless people, and they don't have their nationality. They're not operating from a diplomatic platform or a foreign jurisdiction. So diplomat is one of the things that they've all come to agree with through the Vienna Convention, that diplomats and diplomatic agents, diplomatic missions, consular courts and consular posts are exempt for a lot of things and can also operate under the treaties that they have, because it's only for nations that deal with treaties or have a treaty.
Right, but would I have to get, say, Chris to write me a letter acknowledging that I'm a diplomat for IMN, for example?
You can do that too, yes, absolutely. You'd have to do that, yes, because in order for you to exercise the treaty anyway, the consular post has to help you operate it. They have to help you push it.
Yeah. Okay. So my authority or my status comes from being a member of that particular embassy.
Yes.
Or consulate.
Or if you're not going to be part of that embassy, you have to find a chief in your area that is a national, right? That can help you push and enforce the treaty, because you can't enforce the treaty by yourself.
Okay, thank you. I'll investigate that and let you know how I get on. Thank you there.
All right, then.
I yield the floor.
Thank you for that, matriarch. All right, we're way over our time, and those were the last 3 questions that I was going to answer. Please write down your question. Mo, if you have a question or a statement, is it really quick? Because we're way over the time right now. The floor is yours, Mo.
Greetings, Noble Cam. Quick question. Is it wrong to, in case if you want to try to dismiss a case, is it wrong for you to, I don't want to use the word threaten, but inform a judge that you will charge their bond if they continue to go forth with the case, knowing that you know that I'm a noble, a sovereign, Aboriginal, Indigenous, more?
If you're coming as the national and they have a case against you, yes, but also give them the language of diplomat because they understand the Vienna Convention and go and refer to things inside the Vienna Convention that deals with nationals. Your place of being, you have to turn that place into a diplomatic property. Under the laws of the Vienna Convention, a diplomatic property that's associated with a diplomatic mission or consulate post is you don't have to do no payments to them. All right, so find out in your area how that works, but that's the skeleton of it. Okay.
Okay, so what if because I remember a while ago you mentioned that you could do a special appearance. Say the judge is not aware, but you are writing an affidavit of, I guess, fact or, to inform them of who you are.
Yeah, that can be filed into the court and served onto them, right? Also, you want to look at where are they, what stages is the process of this case? Is it gone through judgment? Is there an order? If there's an order, then you can do an appeal, and inside the appeal, you can mention that you're a national and that they're going way past they're violating the Vienna Conventions and all the treaties.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so look at the time frame first and find out where is the case. Is there an order? Is there a judgment? And then go from there. If there's a judgment order, if 20 days or 30 days gone by, try and do an emergency appeal if you can. And then in the appeal, that's what you'd be talking about is your appellation, your nationality, and that you're a part of a diplomatic mission and a consulate post in that area or in North America. Because I think we have your documents, so we can definitely back you up on that. Okay?
Okay, sounds good. Okay.
All right.
Okay, I yield. Thank you so much.
All right, then. You're very welcome. Thank you for that, Matriarch. All right. Get that out as soon as possible, Matriarch, and get that rolling. Find out the time structure. All right. Peace and love to you all. I hope you all learned something today. We're going to continue our class tomorrow. Today was just mostly just questions and stuff, but I want you to really, really download or go to our Telegram group and get the Vienna Convention and go through it. Look at the terms. Look at the definitions of diplomatic missions. In my mind, in my heart, and I feel this all the time for some reason, is that we have to learn to be a government again and have to learn how to be accountants again and learn to be the law again. It's going to take a while, but I know our people we're magically geniuses, and we definitely can do it in the quickness of an eye. I know we can take it back by next week, Friday, but it's for you now to understand that the bicycle has already been built. It's for you to get onto it and ride it and do the best riding of your lives on a bike that's already there for you. If you learned anything this year in this semester, thank you. Exercise it to your best of your abilities. The world is yours. And just like what Patrick was saying, everything he sees around him seems to be abandoned. And that's what I see around me too. And I laugh. And that's why I keep saying to you all, this is the greatest time ever in human history. Enjoy all of it and document it, your experiences with great things, even the bad things. And you'll see the future will grow stronger for our people because it's our time now. Peace and love to everybody. We'll be here tomorrow. Tell friends and invite family or kin who are interested in knowing the truth and financial planning of your future. Peace and love, everybody. We'll talk again. Bye-bye for now. Peace and love.
Peace and love. Peace and love.
Peace and love.